good, this isn't for the budget, this is for the override. This is a local law that allows us to override the tax cap if we need to.
Yeah.
Doesn't say we have to, doesn't say we're going to, but if we decide to adopt a budget that exceeds the cap, this allows us to do
Yeah,
that.
I know you'll.
Does it exceed the cap now?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get your meeting with the 98,000?
Not yet. But I've talked to the comptroller twice.
Again?
I did not talk to her, but I have an email from her confirming that I have my understanding is correct.
So if they use that 98, it would be down. The rate per thousand would be down.
Yes, but there's other things that you have to address too, because we're starting from the wrong point. So,
It's actually gonna go over to the side, it's to the left of the speaker.
That's my right. That's my right also. What is the left?
Well, we got to this side though.
Put it in the middle and everybody will be happy.
Good evening. Would everybody please stand and pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like to take roll call. Supervisor Shepler,
Yes.
Councilman Needham,
here?
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harris,
Here,
Councilman Galusha.
Here.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2020 public hearing members of the public with us this evening?
Might as well.
Okay,
I'm against it. It wasn't passed last year, so I don't see why if it didn't go last year, we shouldn't have to have it this year. And it's, of no use because you've already gone over the tax cap. So why bother to have it? You should be able to bring the budget back down under the tax cap before you even start. And I'll be very interested how Mr. Needham, votes this year, because is he ruled by Mrs. Seaman or is he ruled by Mr. Sheckler? I'm done.
thank you. Is Mr. Parent still with us, or?
I think I heard him coming back in.
Coat's in here, so he's in here.
She's taking comments from the floor, if you care to.
We only have 2 members of the public with us this evening, so if you have something to say, it's your turn to say it. Thank you.
That puts me on the spot, you know.
Sorry.
Think quick, think
I
quick.
mean, it's not like. a
How
lot
are you
of
under
people-
pressure?
Good.
It's a public hearing and you're on public, so. You certainly don't have to if you choose not to, but you certainly may if you wish to.
I haven't seen any budget really, so I don't know what I would pick on or not pick on, or,
Have they been given copies of the resolution for tonight, so they know why we're here?
No, they know that we're here for a tax cap override. It's a local law, number 1, and that is the sole purpose of this public hearing this
Do
evening.
we have copies for the public?
No, but I should make them quick.
What's on the second page?
Just the state,
It's the local law.
the language. The actual public hearing on the budget itself is gonna be on,
November 5.
That is on the preliminary, yes. This is only, we're only here to discuss this evening, have the public discuss with us the local law for the tax cap override. And let me just, while Mr. Karen is reading, let me just say that just because we override the tax cap does not mean it has to be implemented, all right? There is no harm and no foul in overriding the tax cap override. It wasn't done last year, and there was a bit of a debacle and a bit of a mess, and it's been rectified. But I see no reason why we shouldn't, and that is my personal opinion.
what I would like to say is that after watching last several years, last year was, very interesting, to say the least. And the way it went last year was just almost to the point of ridiculousness. And then, boom, all of a sudden we gotta raise it. Just because. And it was just disgraceful to watch it last year.
That was last year, Mr.
I realize it has nothing really to do with you.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that it does, I'm not trying to imply that. You are the supervisor. I'm sure you get a lot that has very little to do with your actions in particular. And I understand that you were not sitting in that seat last year.
Thank you.
I'm just saying that last year, when it happened, I thought it was downright disgraceful, the way it happened. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. No further comments? No further comments. All right, I move that the public hearing portion of this meeting be closed. And before we go any further, thank you for coming out. All right, I need somebody to introduce a resolution to adopt local law number 1. But before I do that, I'm going to ask the town clerk, would you please read the local law number 1 for us?
Local law to override tax levy limit establishing general municipal law for fiscal year 2021. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Thurman, Warren County, New York as follows. 1. Legislative intent and need. It is the intent of this local law to override the limit on the amount of real property taxes that may be levied by the town of Thurman pursuant to the New York General Municipal Law, Section 3-C, and allow the Thurman Town Board to adopt a budget for the fiscal year 2021 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. 2. Authority. This local law is adopted pursuant to Subdivision 5 of General Municipal Law, Section 3-C, which expressly authorizes the town board to override the tax levy limit by the adoption of a local law approved by a vote of 60% of the total voting power of the town board. 3. Tax levy limit override and budget authorization. The town board hereby overrides the tax levy limit under New York General Municipal Law, Section 3C for the town of Thurman for fiscal year 2021 and authorizes the town board, after completing all required procedures for the adoption of the budget, to adopt a budget for fiscal year 2021 that requires a tax levy that is greater than the tax levy limit calculated for 2021 pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. 4. Severability. In the invalidity of any clause, sentence, or paragraph or provision of this local law shall not invalidate any other clause, sentence, paragraph, or part thereof. 5. Effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing by the Secretary of State and shall apply only to the town's budget for fiscal year 2021.
Thank you. Do I have someone who's willing to introduce resolution to adopt local law number 1 to override the tax levy limit?
I will.
Doug, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Randy, thank you. Do we have any discussion amongst the board?
The discussion has to just confine itself to the local law and the resolution.
That is correct. Thank you.
The only thing is I want to question one of the board members and yourself, that last year it was adamantly not to do it. Now, if this year, and I don't care how anybody votes, but if this year, what would make it any different than last year?
Honestly, last year was a huge mistake in not overriding the tax cap levy at that point in time.
So,
We wouldn't have had the issues of the $98,240 million that we've had.
I know all about that, I was there on the board.
Right, I
And I said,
understand.
for a second, I know what it is. I know you were for it last year, because when the vote went to the floor, you spoke out that you were for it.
That is correct.
He was adamantly for it. Now, I just would like to know what would be in the situation this year that would change anything other, because your two votes might cause the vote how it goes. And even you, Ed, I would just like to know if what's in here or what about this is different than last year.
I think you meant to say that Doug was adamantly opposed to passing the limit.
Yeah, he opposed it.
I don't think that there's anything different.
I'm asking him too, he can answer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were speaking to me, I apologize.
Well, I mentioned all of them, but what I mentioned was, he actually was adamant on not having it. I mean, no matter how many times it came up, and it came up many times, it was no, no, no.
But
Now, I wanna know what your opinion is this year that makes a difference,
Let me just
or if
say,
there's no, let him talk.
I just want to say that I don't think that it's relevant to this year's vote.
I believe it is, because I wanna have this information in this conversation, because I wanna know
How is it?
if there's a difference in your mind, or your mind, or your mind, and you've already spoken, or your mind, what is the difference between last year and this year?
How do you know even what I'm gonna vote?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know, I said, how do you know how I'm gonna vote? If
No,
I'm
but I
for it or
I don't
against it?
need to know how you're gonna vote, I wanna know what you insist is the difference, in case that will include what I might want to vote. Why is this different than last year? Or maybe you don't think it's any different and you're just, again, I don't care how you vote, I'm not telling you how you vote, I wouldn't do that to anybody. But I just would like to know the essence of what it is that would be different for me to vote no or yes. I voted yes last year, and I was, must bet I was wrong, because we lost. So I wanna know what the difference is this year, so I can judge my vote on what I say.
So we voted no, this didn't pass last year?
No.
Correct. That's why the 98,000 became an issue.
It did
That's
not
why we had to
pass last
hold
year.
up the $94,000,
98,000.
98,000. whatever,
I guess I was wrong last year.
you just didn't know what you were looking at, or nobody explained it to you clear enough, or,
Yeah, they explained it to me, that's the way I thought it should have went last year.
so you got it explained to you, and you still thought it should still not be. So, that's gonna be the same thing, so I don't know, is there more money going out this year than, we had 98 last year? Is it more or less going? If we have an override, what do you think would be more or less than last year?
Joan, I don't think that it's relevant.
It doesn't matter, I'm asking the question, it doesn't matter what you think, I'm telling you what I think. What figure do you think is going to be this year? Is it gonna be 98, is it gonna be 49?
You can't determine that. That is based on the difference in your taxes.
Oh, I understand.
All right, so you can't determine at this point in time if it's gonna be 98,000, 49,000. You can't
How can we
determine
vote
until,
on this then? Might not be any.
because we're asking you to do, and there's no harm and there's no foul to vote in a tax cap override.
So, a general thing, you think it's gonna be as much as 98,000 that they'd have to pass over? You know the county, you've been doing that.
If we do not override this, the number that we're talking about, based on the tax levy limit that's been quoted to me by the comptroller's office, is $206,879.
$6,079,
206,
Yeah.
879.
$879. That's way over what we had last year.
That's the amount of money that would have to go in a reserve account, and we couldn't touch it if we don't pass the local law.
Knowing that gives you some information how I would vote.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I don't know, I haven't heard from him anymore, other than,
I do believe Doug answered you, Joan.
excuse me, don't talk for him, he can talk himself.
I'm done.
You're done, so there's no more information you can give me. Do you have all the information that you need in order to vote? Do you?
Yeah, I've been studying this, and like, I go along with, what we gonna do with the 98,000 now? We gotta decide what's gonna happen to that, right? We don't know.
No, we know what's happening to the 98,000.
Well, it's just my concern,
Yeah.
and if I had been on the board last year, I would have voted for this override, just for the safety, because look what happened. I mean, we had to come up with 98,200 and some odd dollars, and we had to take it from the highway, when that's our most important.
And that
The whole
was
town is the highway, and they
for
need
the
some
highway.
equipment,
And it wasn't, yeah.
and they couldn't use it. I mean, I've been over there, I crawl on them trucks, anybody who's working out, you're always under them trucks, constantly, and I don't think it's right. But we do need to get this straightened out and move forward. We're this year's board, not last year's board, that's what I'm
I
trying to say.
understand that,
to you,
I understand that.
And I respect your thoughts, and I'd like to respect mine. If it's gonna help us assure that we're not gonna get in the same trouble and having to put that money aside, I probably will. I don't know it, I'm
I
still,
don't care how you vote.
that's what I'm saying. It's just an insurance in my eyes. I do wanna know where we're gonna go with our budget. And I think we all
A vote tonight is not a vote to approve the budget.
do.
No,
It doesn't mean you agree with the budget.
no.
Right.
I mean, I'll vote for this tonight, but that doesn't mean I'm comfortable with what we're doing with the budget. That
Exactly.
still needs work.
Exactly, so,
And that's gonna be addressed at the public hearing.
right.
No, the changes will not come at the public hearing.
As a
The public
result.
hearing-
And-
Well,
and-
the public hearing comes first, and then after the public hearing
Correct.
is the workshop.
And to answer finish your question, Joe, if I'd have come with you last year, I'd have voted yes with him, would have stopped a lot of the headache that we've had ever since that it went on. I couldn't believe it happened. But we need the assurance now till we straighten this out and move forward. And I hope everybody can understand, and that's how I really feel.
Well, I didn't wanna go what we're going through this year either. Why would anybody on the town board wanna do that? That's why
I
think
can't
it's
answer
safe.
for them, we're a different board, and I just hope, we can,
No, I
Get through
appreciate
it.
your comments.
we can get through it, and we don't have, it's just an assurance,
Yeah, I understand that. I appreciate your comments.
That's all I have for you.
That's all I was asking.
Are there any further comments? With none being heard, the introduction was by Doug, it was seconded by Randy. The resolution to adopt the local law number 1 to override the tax cap levy. Whereas the purpose of this law is to override the town of Thurman's tax levy limit for the fiscal year 2021. It is necessary that the town of Thurman be able to adopt a budget requiring a tax levy greater than the tax levy for the fiscal year 2021 because of increased costs. Whereas the local law is enacted pursuant to the General Municipal Law, Section 3C 5, local law is attached to your paperwork here. Be it resolved that the town of Thurman hereby overrides its tax levy limit for the fiscal year 2021 and is authorized to adopt a budget requiring a tax levy greater than that calculated according to the General Municipal Law, Section 3C 3C. Be it further resolved that the local law applies only to the fiscal year 2021 and shall take effect upon filing with the Secretary of State. Can I please have a roll call vote?
Supervisor Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilman Needham,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harris,
Yes.
Councilman Galusha.
Yes.
The resolution has passed. Thank you very much. With the submission, Susan, you can file it with the Secretary of State.
Tomorrow, you can get it done
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Yeah, that's nice. Our next meeting that we've got coming up is a public hearing of the preliminary budget on Thursday, November 5th at 6:30 PM.
I thought you canceled that one.
November 6th?
5th,
Oh, 5th.
Didn't you send an email this morning
That was
canceling?
the
that was the second.
Oh, the second?
That was the
That was
second.
a budget workshop on the second. This is the hearing on the fifth.
Right. Thank
Public
you.
hearing, right?
Yes, it's a public hearing.
Cancel is the second.
Yes.
Yes.
November 5th?
That
Thursday.
was just a budget workshop. We're gonna have another budget workshop after the public hearing.
That is correct. So our next meeting is Thursday, November 5th. It is a public hearing on the preliminary budget at 6:30 PM. Do you want to set a workshop now?
We already have one after that. No, we
No,
didn't.
we don't.
Okay. Sorry.
Our regular board meeting, I just want to remind everybody, is not on Wednesday, the 11th. That is Veterans Day, it's a holiday, and the board had voted in October to change it to Thursday, November 12th, is our regular board meeting at 6:30 PM. That's just a reminder.
So, just so I understand this, because I don't know if it makes a difference time-wise, but we have the hearing on the 5th, and during the hearing, we're gonna receive comments from the public.
As we did this evening,
Is anything else transpired that evening?
we'll have a vote on the preliminary budget, and, which you've already accepted, and then it goes forward, to a workshop, because there's discussion that we want to make some changes, I understand. And from there, it gets adopted by the board into the, final stage, into the adopted budget, but that doesn't come until after the public hearing, and we cannot have a workshop prior to the public hearing, so it has to occur after our workshop.
So the workshop after the public hearing,
Yep,
we're gonna go through the budget to make any changes we decide to make
as a
Are we-
unit,
as a unit.
and we will vote at the end.
And we will vote on the budget at the end that night.
We can,
And if we don't, then the preliminary budget then becomes,
no, we have until the 20th of November when this has to be filed.
so we can still continue to call
November
meetings and try to
20th is
work
the
out
We
deadline.
could,
any differences. So,
November 20th is the deadline.
deadline, yes, it has to be filed by the
By
20th.
the 20th.
Right, so the 20th, we really can't meet because it has to be filed on the 20th.
so that if we have the hearing on the 5th, why not have the workshop on Monday the 9th?
It's fine with me. Does that work for everybody else? The 9th, is that work for you? The 9th, Monday?
That means instead of the 12th,
At what,
No.
6:30?
The 12th is a regular board meeting. They're pushing it back a day because the 11th is a holiday.
Yeah,
Meeting 6:30.
6:30?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
yes,
Yeah.
it is,
So it's a budget workshop on the 9th.
yes,
Budget.
That's at 6:30 also.
yes. And that is to go over the preliminary budget, in essence, like we've been doing with the tentative budget, so that we can get ready to move it into an adopted budget. Is there any further discussion? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Also, no.
Joan?
She beat you down.
All in favor?
Uh,
Adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out.
I just got it too. I hit the ground and break it, I stepped on it. Okay. I think that's over there. Still good. Yeah. Yeah, I know. The work's still on running. No, I was over back cutting wood tonight. Picking up, yeah, I was trying to get it cleaned up because I got a couple of hedgerows I wanted to get done. Yeah.
No, just-
See you later, Randy. Have a good night. See you later.
Good night, good night.
I've seen those months before.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you.
I'll look into a car. I know I was going to vote. It was so bad, that's something I didn't know.
Really appreciated Cynthia explaining why everything was necessary because I'm kind of lost